Good morning. Today, let us discuss about the pond construction, pond types, and their requirements. First, let us know about the freshwater fish culture. For earthen dugout pond culture, for freshwater fishes rearing, particularly for Indian major crops, we need to have 4 to 6 feet water depth, thus at least 8 to 10 feet bunds are supposed to be built so that the water level can be maintained a minimum of 4 feet to 6 feet and 2 to 4 feet inner side of the pond bund will be left over. During the summer months, as such, the evaporation rate is high. Also, the water seepage is considerable. Better to maintain above 6 feet water depth. But minimum is 4, optimum is 6, maximum is 8. These are all in feet. It means around 2 to 2.5 water meter depth is required. A minimum of 4 feet is supposed to be maintained. The reason for this is as the sunlight penetrates the first 2 feet of the depth, if abundant light is available in the pond waters up to the bottom, the aquatic weeds, the spirulina, hydrilla, and so many other unwanted plants grow fast as sunlight is available sufficiently, and within no time the pond becomes aquatic forest. So above 4 feet water level is always essential for total aquaculture. Maybe it is for fish, prawn, or even for morels. In the case of morel culture, we can maintain only up to 4 feet, and the pond size may vary from 4,000 square meters or even below, say about 2,000 square meters, half an acre, to 1 acre. Whereas in the case of Indian major carp culture practices, 1 hectare pond is considered to be ideal, and we can see each pond having 5 acres or 2 hectares to 10 acres or even up to 10 hectares. 10 hectares mean 250 into 10, that is about 25 acres. In Kolleru Lake area and in southern India, particularly Andhra Pradesh, where Godavari and Krishna river belts exist, a larger size culture pond, about 100 hectares in size, is also dug out near Gudivada. Thus, the size of the pond may be from 1 hectare or even less than 1 acre or 1 acre to up to 50 acres, 100 acres. But the best manageable pond size must be 1 hectare. The size of the pond and the depth of the pond plays very important role in successfully achieving the record yields of fishes. The size and depth we have discussed. Now let us know about the length, breadth, side. Let the length side of the pond be from east to west, so that the sunlight falls throughout the day over the pond. Thus, in such kind of pond where length is high, the width will be comparatively less. In general, longitudinal ponds are preferred than rectangular ponds. On longitudinal pond where the length is high, we can also plant the vegetables, the coconut, the horticulture plants, etc., so that the sunlight may not be prevented by the presence of plants. In case the pond is rectangular or round in shape, they can be considered for nurseries or for rearing culture ponds. In freshwater fish culture, there are three types of ponds constructed. One is nursery. The size of each nursery varies from 3 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents up to half an acre. The size of the rearing culture ponds varies from 1 acre to 1 hectare, and the size of the culture pond varies from 1 hectare to 100 acres. The nursery ponds are dug out in saucer shape, and even the rearing ponds also may be dug out in saucer type. What is saucer type? Digging off the entire soil from the pond inside and making use of it for the pond bund is called saucer type. In saucer type, the pond looks like a saucer. The middle part of the pond will be deepened while the peripheral zones are gradually having low depth. These type of ponds are suitable for nurseries only. The larger size of the ponds are constructed in trench type. What is trench type? Say for example, in 1 hectare or 10 acre, 5 acres pond, in inner side, say about 5 feet to 10 feet width, about 8 to 10 feet depth is dug out, while the center part of the pond is left as it is. After totally making of the pond in trench, we can store about 8 to 10 feet of water depth, while on the trench it will be around 4 feet only. Thus, the center part of the pond is not or never dug out in trench type of pond construction. In all the cases, the pond bund from lower to top, it is constructed in such a way that the pond bunds are very strong. At the bottom side, wider in width, but at the surface side, say about 1 to 5 feet in length. So the inner wall or pond bund is constructed in 1:3 width. When the bottom side of the inner pond bund is strong, there may not be any soil erosion and pond bunds will retain for a long time, and on the surface of the pond throughout the peripheral sides we can walk, we can drive, even a four-wheeler can be driven. Thus, in freshwater Indian major carp culture, the ideal size of the nursery is 3 to 5 cents. The rearing pond size may be half acre to 1 acre, and the culture pond or the grown out pond size may be 1 hectare to 5 hectares, 10 hectares, even up to 100 hectares. Whereas in the case of mural culture, we need to maintain hardly 1 acre to 2 acre sized ponds, earth and agout ponds, with 4 feet of water column only. In the case of Indian major carps, these are all respire through the gills and they can obtain only the dissolved oxygen available in water. Whereas in the case of murals, they are both. They can obtain oxygen through the air and also from the water. Thus, low water depth can be considered for high stocking densities in mural culture. Let us now discuss about the prawn or shrimp culture. For shrimp culture, we need to maintain not less than 4 feet of water depth, and 5 feet is sufficient. Always see that the water is pumped through the sluices. There must be one sluice for inside water flow and one more for sending out of the pond. Water must be flown from the pond, that is called outer gate or outer sluice. So for each and every pond we need to maintain one inner gate and one outer gate. These are all named as sluices. In general, sluices will have 3 types of doors. One is made up of wood for totally preventing of no entry of water, either from inside or from the outside. Second one is larger size mesh gate, so that water flows fast, but say about above 50 to 100 grams fishes, or even above 10 to 40 count prawns or shrimps retain inside the pond. The third must be a fine mesh gate, so that not even plankton is lost from the culture pond. So the sluices are constructed in such a manner that when a wooden gate is closed, there will not be any flow of water from either side. and through the larger mesh size, some considerable size water as well as fishes and unwanted things will flow out. Whereas in the case of mesh gate, even plankton also is not sent out. So having these two types of sluices is highly essential for earth undergo pond culture. Through the inner gate or inner side arranged, inner for inner flow arranged sluice gate, wherever gravitational force is good and water can straightaway enter into the pond without any expenditure of oil or electricity. And there must be facility for outgoing of the water also through the outer sluice or outer gate. In many of the cases, only outer gate or outer sluice is built and no inner gate or inner sluices are built. The reason is 5 HP, 2 HP, 10 HP motor pumps are arranged on the pond one to pump in water to the pond culture practices. Of course, that is also good, but you must arrange an hopper to the inflow of the water so that water gets filtered and no unwanted fishes, prawns, crabs or even eggs enter into the pond. We must see that the soil is totally dried. Then depending upon the soil pH, go for application of lime, dolomite or gypsum, and if necessary also apply the calcium hypochlorite or bleaching powder subject to the pond soil conditions. So as far as the pond construction is considered, the ideal ponds have 4 to 6 feet minimum water depth, lengthwise east to west, and the pond bunds are very strong. The ideal size of the pond varies from half an acre to 1 hectare or 1 hectare to even 100 hectares in case of larger culture ponds meant for Indian major crops. For mural culture, we need to have very smaller size ponds with low depth, that is about 4 feet in depth. Whereas for shrimp or prawn culture, we need to maintain 4 feet of depth, and the size of the pond for shrimp or prawn culture is 1.25 acres to 1 hectare is highly considerable. We can also go for 1 hectare or even bigger size ponds for prawn or shrimp culture if we have abundant water availability and the persons have skill to maintain or regulate the water parameters which are highly suitable for shrimp and prawn culture. Okay, good day.